Good, mi gente. What is it scene? Welcome back to another video with Jay. And today, we're gonna talk about a topic that's been in the news recently, and it's the Amber Guyger, I believe it's your last name. That trial. I'm just gonna speak a few things about my thoughts on everything that's going on, and I want to hear you guys' feedback. So let's get straight into it. Alright guys, so if you haven't heard already, you've been living under a rock somewhere. The Amber Guyger trial has been going on over the past few weeks, and basically there was an officer that mistakenly went into an apartment thinking that it was her own. She saw a figure of a man in the apartment and proceeded to take down the threat under the illusion that she was in her own apartment and this person was an intruder. Ended up killing the man and then later realized that she was in the wrong apartment completely.
He said she did what?
The sentencing for that trial has finally concluded, and that officer was given 10 years in prison. With the charge of murder. I believe it's murder in the second degree. So I'm going to talk about what I thought about the case, and then I'll talk about what I think about, obviously what has happened since then. So as far as the case goes, I would say I watched the full day 1 of the trial. I watched the full day 3. I watched little bits and pieces of day 2. So, and I watched the full sentencing phase. So from what all I saw, I think her lawyers, Amber's lawyers, did the best they could to try to, give her a self-defense for a self-defense story. But any way that you look at this, things just weren't adding up. They said that she had been living at that new apartment for about 2 months, so she confused the floors. Both of them was on the 4th floor and she was on the 3rd floor, something like that. And she confused the floors, and then she confused the actual apartment. There was just so many signs in order for her to know that she was not at her apartment. I always had the question, what was she so focused on, that would allow her to miss those signs? Because you're talking about a number of signs. I understand being like into your phone and you miss the first 2 or 3 signs, but you're talking about a number of signs, right? You're talking about first going to parking your car on the wrong floor. Then when you get out your car and you start walking, obviously, the one floor doesn't look the same as the other floor from a vantage point. Obviously, you're either higher up or you're lower down. So that's the second clue. Third clue, once you get to your where the apartments are, something should be clicking to you that, hey, these numbers have a 4 in front of them, or they don't have whatever number is supposed to be there in front of them as you're walking down the halls to get to your door. Still didn't click to her. Then she gets to her door and there's a red doormat. You know that you don't have a doormat, right? She didn't have a doormat in front of her door, so there's a blatant red doormat that you stepped on before you even opened the door, and she misses that. Then the doors, I'm not sure why the door was halfway open, but that's none of her business really. Like, both of them could be going in and out. Some people, they go out for a smoke break or whatever they do at their apartment. he felt comfortable. Obviously, he was awake. He wasn't sleeping. So he felt comfortable leaving his door slightly ajar. And she went ahead and entered the apartment with her firearm drawn. And unfortunately, she shot this young man, and he died due to um, the impact of that shot. Yeah, so I felt like there was just too much that she missed, too much that she like completely whiffed on for it to be just an accident or just clumsiness or just whatever. And I didn't feel like it was a race thing either, because even though they showed um, the racist text messages, the racist um, pictures on her social media accounts, I just didn't get that feeling that this was a racist. Like this was the main root of it was from racism. I didn't get that from this, especially when they brought up her longtime best friend, who was an African lady, I believe, who was also a police officer, and they talked about always going to each other's house and all of that stuff. Yeah, I believe that she does have some white supremacy views, especially the way she's talking about her other black police officers. But I just didn't feel like the whole shooting happened stemming from just racism. There had to be more to it. Not exactly sure what it was. So I feel like the jury came to a great decision as far as the sentencing. I do feel like 10 years is not really what I was expecting. I was expecting it to be, at least 15 to 20. 10 years. It just, and then she only has to serve half of it. Then she can qualify for probation or parole and come out after 5 years. So it's like, is 10 years really enough? I don't know. After the trial, um, we had the moment where Botham's brother came and he basically said to Amber Guyger that he didn't want anything but the best for her, that he doesn't want her to rot in jail or anything like that. He just wants her to give her life to Christ. And that moment blew me away. That made me take a step back, because um, not only did he say that, I mean, we hear people say that in things like the uh, Boston massacre, or in the things like the shooting at the church, the black church. We hear these people say, "I hope God be with you." I hope God forgives you, and all these things. But we never see it like put into action in this way. Like he actually applied that forgiveness by asking the judge in the courtroom to give Amber a hug, and they met right there in the middle of the courtroom and shared that moment in front of the world, in front of everybody. Like that was a very special moment. That was um, very miraculous. I feel like we don't see that every day at all. I saw a lot of people. I saw a lot of people making comments about that guy and how he forgave the murder of his brother, and they were saying all type of negative things and just trying to just tear that guy down in the comments online. I think some people look at forgiveness as a sign of weakness. They look at it as stupidity, but actually forgiveness comes from a place of strength. I'll give you an example. I would like all of you to, right now, think about someone who has hurt you in your past. Think about someone who has wronged you. You have been so good to this person, and you trusted that person with your time and your energy and your efforts, and they, took advantage of that. Think about that person. I'm sure you all have someone in mind right now. And I want you to think about, have you completely forgiven that person? I don't mean like have you moved on with your life and, you don't think about it anymore. I mean, have you really forgiven that person? Or do they still, you know, are they still able to affect you anytime you think about them? Anytime someone says their name, anytime you see them in passing, do they still have an effect on you? Then most likely you haven't forgiven them. So think about how hard it is for you to forgive that person and then reply it back to someone murdering your brother and you having enough strength to say to them and in front of the whole world that I forgive you, and ask them for a hug and pray that they find, you know, they find God and they find, the best for them. That is strength. If I ever saw it, that's strength. Here's the thing. The act of forgiving, it's not that you allow them to get away with what they did. You're not saying that it's right what they did. You're not even saying that I'm going to allow you to do it again. When you say, I forgive you, what you're doing is you're giving that pain, that hurt, back to that other person. You're not allowing them to hurt you anymore. When you say, I forgive you, that means I let go of all of the hurt and all of the pain that you caused me. I'm not going to allow you to affect me going forward. I'm going to forgive you and give it back to you. What you did was wrong. You know it. I know it. I forgive you. I don't allow you to affect me anymore. And now it's the ball's in your court. It's yours to deal with. You have to deal with what you've done because it doesn't just go away. But I'm not going to allow it to affect me. I'm not going to allow it to turn me into a person like you. So that's what you do when you forgive. And that's why, forgiveness is so important. I think we can all learn a lesson from Botham's brother.
You ain't even have to do me like that, though.
Let me know what you guys think down below. Give this video a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I love you guys, man. I love being able to share my opinion on my channel and have you guys listen to it. I love interacting with you guys. So be looking out for new videos from me. And this has been another video with Jay. Thank you. And see you in the next video. Peace out.